The one downside to using this head strap setup is I can't see the screen. I don't know exactly what I'm filming. So I'm hoping you guys are seeing where my hand's going fairly well. I wish this had worked right on the first video. On the other side, these two screws that I'm undoing now were completely rusted out. They're not nearly as bad on this side. But other than that, it's pretty much the same setup. We've got the two wires. Well, actually I forgot, on the sides there's three. Every other one has two hot wires that all have to go together. And then they ground off by making contact with the aluminum of the body here. Of course, you want to make sure these are all off. There's nothing else to really be safe. You could even make sure that the battery is unplugged on your vehicle. Be quiet! Of course, every time I start a video, the dogs have to start going off on somebody walking by or something like that. So we came out here and filled up each of these gaping holes with Dicor lap sealant. It's not the actually probably the ideal thing to use in this situation, because lap sealant is made to run down and level off. So I've had to wait for it to set up a little bit. I came out here and this one was fine, but the next one over, I don't know if you can see that there, how big the hole in the center is where that's puffing out. The next one, all the center had pulled away and dripped down. So I had to push it back up with my fingers and smear it back into the center. We don't have a whole lot of wire left. Whoever put these in either cut them once or they just didn't leave much left to, especially on this one. That's going to be the trickiest one. The really tricky part is, see this already, I've got two, it's a bitch to get off your finger. And this one here is getting a little runny, a little drippy too. Problem is now I think I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow, give all this a chance to dry and make sure it's not going to drip down any further before I put on the next 5 for the rear. But we have finished the front, so let's go take a look at those. Now up here on the front, we've installed all 5 across the front. We actually did that the other day, but we only just put the lap sealant on a little bit ago. You can see here a bead of old lap sealant I put along the window, which actually did help with a leak I had going in through there. Looks pretty messy, but here you can see the butyl tape where I molded it to make a base for each of these, because they had to stick out. They couldn't sit flush on the metal. The wires wouldn't let them the way they're designed. I kind of messed up getting the wrong clearance lights to begin with, but the important thing is we're going to make them work. I just now put this Dicor on top of the butyl tape to let it run in and fill in all the gaps. It's still slowly working its way down. I wished I'd have bought the ones that had the little rubber seats that went underneath, so I wouldn't have had to use that butyl tape, because it does look kind of ugly, but obviously that's the least of my concerns. My main thing is that everything functions properly, and it does, so that's the most important part. I'll take another look at my roof up here. It actually doesn't leak. It did, but we used some Flex Seal and it sealed all the leaks. If this doesn't work properly, I'll come along and coat all the outside around that with Flex Seal. Probably make it look a little better too. Reviewing the video I've done so far, I can see that one of the downsides of using this head mount is that I can't adjust the focus on the camera as I'm using it. See how easily that's just ready to ground out? That doesn't even make sense. I guess maybe the aluminum coating on this plastic body is also going to work as a ground, because as you can see, there's nothing of what I have for a ground touching, which makes me feel even better about this working as it should. So we're going to run some screws through this, tighten that on, and get the back end done. Spot. We stopped yesterday and came back today, and what I'm doing is taking one of these clamps here. I'm going to cut the circle off of it because I couldn't find exactly what I wanted, and I didn't want to use regular wire nuts. They would have made these stick out too far. Pinched my fingers a little bit, but that's okay. Most of these have 2 wires. This one has 3, which means it's going to be even wider, which means this one is going to be a little tricky. But I guess that's good. If we're going to do a video of it, we may as well video one of the harder ones, right? It's pretty simple. We're just twisting all of these wires together, placing that little brass clamp on top of them. First, we're going to smash down that side of the clamp. Then we're going to come back again, smash down the other side of it. That should ensure that everything is nice and tight. Now we need to put enough black tape on there that we're not going to have this shorting out up against the aluminum. That's the other big thing I've been concerned with. I sure hope this camera is facing on this still, because I mean, I could finish this up on one of the side lights. I haven't done those yet, but I'm hoping to finish this video on this one right here. And of course, we've still got to take a video at night when it's all put together and done. You make sure none of the metal is coming out of there. Now, I don't know if you can see what I did here. I hope this is facing. My old one's grounded to the frame, so I'm going to run the screw through this little hole right here, which is going to go through there, and I'm also going to twist it around on this end, and then just mount it right like that. Originally, I had planned to twist the wire around each of these screws here, and that's exactly what I did on the front, but I don't think it's going to be as necessary now that I've seen that the body of this can ground. I wonder if that could just be a short in just this one. I don't know, but we will find out. And now it's not doing it without the, Not to fear. That's why we have one self-tapping screw that we will use for drilling the pilot holes. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I had the battery off before not the battery off, but the light switch turned off, cutting the battery to these when I was doing this earlier so that it wouldn't pop my fuse. But now I have the battery on, so I can not only show you guys that it's working, but also to help guarantee that I know I'm getting a good connection and everything's working correctly. Now we'll go along and do the next 4 of those, and then we'll be back when it's done. If you've watched a few of my videos, you've probably heard me say repeatedly that I'm incapable of drawing a straight line. Apparently I'm also incapable of mounting a straight line in a straight fashion. We got them working. We'll come back out, do another video pretty soon here. It gets a little bit darker. Sorry about the noise, that's the ladder. But as you can see, they're a little bit crooked. This one over here, that one was straight. I had to make it crooked, not so that it would match the one in the center, but apparently when I put the screw through, I must have just grazed the positive wire in there, because suddenly none of these on the back worked, and there was a strange noise coming from under my dash near the fuse box, kind of a plinking sound. Today on one of the other channels I watch, as you know, I'm probably more of a fan than a creator, but on Justin's channel, Justin Credible, if you're not already watching him, go check him out. He lives in a Class B up in Vancouver. Anyways, he pulled up next to an RV that was just basically aluminum like this one. Well, not like this. This guy had I think he put new sheet aluminum on the outside of it and polished it up. But I've been thinking about doing something similar on this. Since I'm incapable of painting, and this does have an aluminum. Okay, so I just hooked up my clearance lights, and now this is making a noise. What the fuck is that noise? Since it's got an aluminum body to it, I could just buff out the existing aluminum, try to make it nice and shiny, and make it like an Airstream. I did figure out what that plinking noise was. This may sound out of order because the way I'm going to edit this together, but you heard me mention this light here, how I had to move it so that it wasn't grazing the hot wire. Well, when it was grazing that hot wire, it was causing a small short. I'm surprised it didn't blow the fuse. Instead, it was causing that strange noise from up under the dash. As soon as we undid that, moved it up a little bit, and drilled it back down. The crap under my nails. As soon as we lifted that up, drilled it back down, the noise went away, and these all came back on. You might have noticed earlier when I was putting all this on just how reflective this is, even being dull. I think you can see the reflection of my hand in it. You can kind of see the reflection of me waving if you look really close. I don't know how well the video is going to pick that up. But yeah, I could buy an expensive grinder and some buffing wheels and a bunch of sandpaper, go over this whole thing and make it look all nice and shiny like an Airstream travel trailer, except that it would be a motorhome instead of an Airstream. And that's one route I might go. I'd have to maintain the polishing once in a while, and I'm kind of lazy, but you know, I've polished plenty of stuff on my GoPeds over the years. Sometimes I get in that kind of a bored mood where polishing is actually not even really like work. That molding looks like shit, doesn't it? But it's sealed. On the bottom, I'm not as worried about the seal as I did on the top. That's why I put Dicor on the top. And just that molding on the bottom, That molding is just butyl tape. If I ever do decide to paint this, I'll probably buy big round clearance lights that will cover the whole scar from the old clearance light coming off and easily cover the hole and seal the whole thing up nice. Then these I'll just give to somebody or set aside for spares or something, I don't know. But yeah, for the cost of the grinding, all the polishing equipment, I could probably just pay somebody to paint this thing with some spray paint. I don't need it to look, new. I don't even want it to look new. I want it to look like I have absolutely no money, so I'll be less likely to get broken into. But I don't want to look homeless either. So I got to do something about the paint job. I've been trying to avoid it, but now that we're getting these clearance lights together, I guess the paint job's going to be bumped up on my list of things to do. As you see here on the sides, not all of these are working. I've got to get in there and fix that. I haven't switched the sides over to LED yet. We're going to do that soon. There's one of the old ones still working on the rear. And these wires down here, there's no juice coming out either wire. That's probably disconnected. To get to it, I've got to lift up my bed. So we've still got some work to do. We're not nearly done, but I am just about done with this video. I'm going to wait till it gets a little more dark outside. So I was going to wait till it was even darker, but if I wait much later, you won't be able to see anything but the lights. But as you can tell, they look fairly straight when they're lit up, and they're definitely bright enough. So as you can see, the front looks pretty good. They look straight and they're nice and bright. The sides, I still got to work on. I don't need to finish everything to get this video up. This is going to be kind of a boring video anyway, but do whatever you want, even if you have to make the wrong part work, and don't let anybody tell you you can't.